Thank you so much.
Give me a favor on the table in the pending table. I'll get my little MP3 recorder. Okay.
All right.
Need more chairs. Do you mind holding this? Oh, this one's here. Take this chair. Okay. There's another one.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Bethany, you ready? You ready?
All right. Look.
Okay. Margaret's got it going on. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I am just truly, and I'm not going to take too much time on this because they have been waiting to get here as much as you have been waiting to get them out here. But we have a very special surprise guest, a personal friend of mine that I'm going to bring in. I've known this fine young lady for many, many years, and she is closely associated with a name we all know in classic country music. Let me introduce to you the great Nancy Jones. The wife of George Jones. How about that? And let us go ahead and bring in the Opry star himself, longtime living legend, Mr. Whispering Bill Anderson. We'll have you guys come up here and sit down with us.
Make sure they all know, Joe.
Yes.
All the artists know.
Bill there, he talks now. No, he's whispering, right?
That's right. Nancy, you can sit there.
And Bill's right here?
Bill, you can sit right here.
Oh, you're funny.
The Goldens, you can sit right there.
We need all the Goldens up here.
We knew our surprise.
Where's Tim?
Tim. Tim. Yes. Rusty. You know where we got this idea from?
Rusty has left the building.
You know where we got this idea for this format from? You.
I still don't understand what you said.
You know where we got this idea for this format right here?
Oh.
Yes, it's our little mini Country's Family reunion.
Yes. You're putting it
We'll
forward.
get Rusty here in a minute, but I'm just going to turn it over to you guys for a moment. And if you have any questions to ask them right now, we'll do a little Q&A.
Hey, Timbo, how you doing?
And then we'll do our individual meeting.
Look, that's Bill's.
Yeah, get this on so we can just hold it.
Anybody got any questions? Come on, don't be shy.
See me at the Galax, Virginia, at the Rex Theater. These folks right here.
Terry.
No, I'm just waiting.
We're just waiting.
They were waiting.
Okay, I'll start by saying I'm going to go right on to the top here for a second. Whispering Bill Anderson here. We've got a little something that we want to start here for you. That could you get that little bag over there on those two bags right there? Hold this a second, would you? We got a couple of props that we wanted to bring up because you're very well known for this. That we're going to peel us a nanner, and everybody's got a little peel. They're not going to throw it at you, but they are going to toss it.
They've been told.
Because we've been swinging on a coconut tree. And so peel me a nanner, toss me a peanut. You got me acting like a monkey. Let's hear it for Bill Anderson.
There's your peanut.
No, don't throw it at him.
Do not.
We don't want him to leave.
No pelting the artists. That's
the
a,
song that got you in the Songwriters Hall of Fame? Is that the song that got you in the Songwriters Hall of Fame? Look at that.
So you can now say you're working for peanuts. But I'm gonna start by asking Bill a question, since while y'all are thinking of questions to ask him. This is something that is really significant, because Mr. Bill Anderson has a significant anniversary date coming up on this Friday.
Yes.
He will be an Opry member for 62 years, the longest serving Opry member in the Opry history. How about that? So, do you have anything to say about that, Mr. Anderson?
Somebody told me yesterday, said you put the old in Grand Ole Opry. There's actually today is very significant in connection with that whole thing, because it was on Tuesday, July the 11th, 1961. I was sitting at home watching the All-Star baseball game on television, and my phone rang. And I thought, who in the heck's calling me in the middle of a ball game? I don't want to get up and answer it, but I did. And this voice on the other end of the line said, Bill, this is Art Divine. Well, Art Divine was the manager of the Grand Ole Opry. And he didn't beat around the bush. He said, I'm calling to ask you how if you'd like to become a member of the Grand Ole Opry. Wow. And it took me about 2 seconds to say yes. And And you know, today, Nancy, you know this, and William, when they make somebody a member of the Opry, you know, it's almost like a coronation. They plan it weeks and weeks ahead of time, and they have all kinds of news there, you know, the media, and they film it and record it and all this stuff. He asked me on Tuesday afternoon if I would like to be a member, and I said yes. And on Saturday night, they made me a member of the Opry. 4 days. It only took, they didn't do all that fancy, crazy stuff back then. They said, you want to join? I said, yes, well, come on. And 4 days later, I was a part of the show. And that was 62 years ago today.
wow.
I was 4 years old at the time.
You're getting lots of hearts. You're getting lots of hearts on Facebook.
I'm sorry, do what?
You're getting lots of hearts on Facebook. Lots of people that are watching, loving you.
Oh, okay. Hi.
He likes hearts.
There you go. You want to ask a question?
Yeah. I want to ask all y'all, what advice do you have for me wanting to become a country music singer?
I'm sorry, you say you want to become a country music singer? What advice do I have for you? Do something else.
Run.
Oh, golly. I don't know. Do you write songs?
Yes.
Do you play an instrument?
Yes, I play
Good.
piano.
Well, that's, you know, I'll tell you what, in the music business, it was true when I came along, and it's just as true, even more true maybe today. People will tell you they got singers coming out their ears, but they don't have enough good songs. So work on that songwriting part, and try to write songs, and try to write the best songs you can write, and be open to criticism. People say, well, I don't like that, or I don't like that line. Go back and change it, and just work real hard at the songwriting part of it, because that is the key to it. If you can get that great song, a great song doesn't care who sings it. So write that great song.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Can you believe
My admiration for George Jones and my commitment to play his music extends to every single week on my show, and I play all these great artists here very frequently. You all can attest to that. I'm not just talking the talk, I walk the walk. But Miss Nancy Jones is one special person. Thank you so much for what you have done to save the life of George Jones, literally. That story goes out so long, and you got some news that's coming up that you probably are wanting to share that will be in touch a little bit in the future. You want to tell us about that?
As George would say, this woman does not talk good on this microphone. But here I go. I've got a book coming out September the 12th on George's birthday, and it's called My Memories with the Possum. And it's absolutely, you know, you hear all these stories of George. Some are true, well, quite a few. But some are true and some are not. But I kind of straightened it out and got the good of George. There's a lot of funny things that people don't know about George. Now, Bill does, because George was a funny person. And, you know, a lot of the fans don't know that. So I do have a lot of the funny stuff in there.
Playing possum.
And it's playing possum. That's right, playing possum with my memories of George Jones. So I'm really excited about that. And also in October the 19th, 17th? I don't know nothing anymore. We're getting old. October the 17th in your local theaters, we did a show for George Jones for the 10th anniversary of his death in Huntsville, Alabama. Probably a lot of y'all were there and know about it. So it will be in your local theaters October the 17th.
That's my birthday.
Is it your birthday, darling? So it'll be like, yeah, we did it just for you. It's gonna be in like 1,000 theaters, so you'll get to see that show. And Joe Dunbaker was there. He knows that show was absolutely wonderful. And we had 32 artists on there. So it's gonna be great to have that going on and having also the book out. And the book is gonna be, I mean, as Bill knows, everybody probably knows by now, I died from COVID, and God brought me back. And as Nashville knows, they were like, oh Lord, here comes that woman, you know, she's going to tell us all off. I don't do that anymore. I don't do that anymore. I came back bringing you and everybody that I can to God. That's what I want. That's what the book is about. And it's also about my life, George's life, and some of it I do have to tell some of the bad in there, that in order to get you to understand George and myself and why I stayed in there and hung with that man. And I can tell you that man is in heaven. And it was a hard job, but God gave it to me. I did it, and I am proud of myself, and I am proud of every one of his fans that stood there for him. Also, people like Bill Anderson, anybody, every artist that stood with that man, knowing there was a good man in there. I guess I'm through.
Anybody else have a question? Come on, you got to have questions for these people. Go ahead.
I just have a statement. You know, we put these artists up on pedestals. You see them up on stage, but every one of these people is as real as it gets. And Bill Anderson, I used to produce a show for him on Sirius XM called Bill Anderson Visits with the Legends. And we went over to George and Nancy's house one time to do an interview. And as soon as we get there, Nancy says, y'all kick off your shoes. I've got white carpet. So we're running around barefooted in their house. And then after Bill was finished with his interview, and there's none better in that in everything he does, this man excels. He's so good. But afterwards, Nancy's in the kitchen, and she has made the crew and us this big pot of vegetable soup and cornbread.
I did.
You know, we all sat down together. You remember that day?
Yes, I do.
And we did the interview in their outside of their bedroom. Remember that little alcove? We're tromping through their bedroom, you know, the crew and all. But it was just a great day, and every one of these people was real.
Tell them the rest of it.
Well, they're not here to hear my stories. They're here to hear their book. Well, we ended up.
I do want you to tell that.
Cliff notes. Nancy wanted me to hear a song that this little 13-year-old had sung, and the Bose was in your bathroom. And so she asked me to come in the bathroom. She sits on the bathtub, and so she says, have a seat. So I'm sitting on the toilet. And then George comes in, sits on the other end of the bathtub, and I thought I never thought my day would start where I was sitting on George Jones's toilet with him there in the room listening to music.
It was great sound in there.
It sounded great.
It was great.
So I took too much time. I just want to say how great these people are.
I want everyone to know that I have been, I can't say I'm not remembered, but I feel like I am, because I've been there so many times with George, but with Bill Anderson and William Lee Golden, I love them. They're my family. And when I go to the Opry, I still get tears because I can remember how much George loved the Opry and how much I love it myself. And then to see William Lee with his boys out there singing and them out there doing what, you know, we all started out with, listening to William Lee and Bill Anderson and the Oak Ridge Boys, and now we've got these boys carrying it on. I'm just so pleased, and I'm so happy to know that they are bringing back good old country music.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else?
I would like to. Is it Mr. Galpin?
Golden.
You remember a song called Elvira?
What's that song?
Two started singing that with y'all, and she sang it every time it came on, and she made us play the track over and over again. But the problem was she couldn't sing a lick. I about can remember the song word for word, and thank you for it.
Well, everybody could sing Elvira, so whether you could sing or not. But yeah, that was a song that kind of it spilled over from country. It went to the top of the country music charts, and it spilled over and then went to the top of the pop charts, I guess, at that time.
We had a lot of fun.
But
I'll tell you a little tidbit about that song. It was written by Dallas Frazier, who the Oaks got a Grammy for that, and Dallas Frazier also wrote The Baptism of Jesse Taylor that they recorded when they were gospel, and that was the other song that they had gotten a Grammy for. So Dallas Frazier wrote both of their, two big ones there. Legendary writer. Yeah.
and I'm still out with the Oak Ridge Boys too. When I'm not with the Oak Ridge Boys, we're doing over 100 dates on the road this year, and we've been doing like 150, but last year we did 140, and this year probably we're going to slow down to maybe 100. Anyhow, we were already over 100, I think.
They have four lifestyles. You don't have four lifestyles to maintain.
So what happened is in the pandemic, we were all sent home, and everybody up here was sent home, and we were all told we're unessential. Go home, lock your doors, put on 2 masks. If anybody knocks on your door, crawl under the bed. But I watched the news there for 3 or 4 weeks at the first, try to see what on earth's going on, and there was too much negative hate, everybody hating everybody, and I had to turn all that crap off, and got my family together. They said we couldn't go to church, and so I invited them over, and we started singing gospel songs. Then we went to the other people that were very essential to us in life, as great songwriters like Bill Anderson and all the great writers. We did a classic country songs. We did recorded about 12. I wound up during the pandemic recording 34 songs with my family. I wrote an autobiography, and I also did an album with the Oak Ridge Boys. It's amazing how much you can get done when you turn off negative hate on television.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yes, sir.
Focus in, get your focus into things that you draw strength from. Anyhow, that brought me here tonight. And thank y'all for the invitation. And I needed help wherever I go, so I brought my kids here. I didn't want to get here, and I'm not good at singing a cappella.
Tim said
they're real talented. My sons are talented. They're great songwriters, great musicians. Chris played with the Oak Ridge Boys for 18 years, actually. Played acoustic guitar 1 year, then played drums for 17 years. And Rest is won Songs of the Year in gospel music, and he's also had a lot of top songs. He's a songwriter and musician. He's played with, first, when he was 12 years old, I think he started touring with the Rambos, a gospel group, playing drums. And from that, Then later, Rusty, he started playing. You know, he got a little older. He played some with the Oak Ridge Boys, and he finished school, and then he wound up playing and touring with the Gatlins, Larry Gatlin and the Gatlin brothers. And
I think that's why Rusty really took out the songwriting thing to heart, because, you know, between Dottie Rambo and Larry Gatlin, they were both great songwriters and had that three-part harmony, and Rusty picked up on a lot of that during that time.
Tim said it's bring your kids to work day, so I got my son, Tim brought his son today too.
So we brought our families with us, you know. We were going to invite everybody out to the house, but they said that they wanted to be at Bill Anderson's house. So we're here at Bill Anderson's house. He's over the whole Grand Ole Opryland and Grand Ole Opry. And,
He's the boss.
He's the mayor of this part of town.
Don't believe it.
I have a question. You might, I don't know if, I just want to remind you that this whole group saw you both perform this weekend on the Grand Ole Opry. So we came and watched you and were just floored. And now we get to, like, a day later meet you in person. So you can, if you can't sense the excitement, our excitement, we are just thrilled. I wanted to ask Bill, after your first song, Saturday night, you walked all the way to the edge of the stage and just, like, stretched your arms out. And I want to know what you were thinking at that moment.
Thank God it's over.
No.
Thank God it's over.
It was your first song.
Well, I don't know. The first song I did Saturday night was the song I wrote for Cal Smith called The Lord Knows I'm Drinking. And what I had done on that last chorus was it had a little answer, and I would sing, The Lord Knows I'm Drinking, and I held the microphone, and the audience sang it back to me. And so I think part of what I was doing was I was thanking all the audience, like, hey, we're all in this together. You know, you helped me out, and I needed all the help I could get, and I just appreciated that. And I don't know, that's something I do quite often. I don't know. I feel sometimes like I just want to hug everybody.
That's what it felt like. It was a touching moment.
That's what it felt like to me, too. That's what I want to do, just hug everybody and say thank you for helping me.
Thank you.
I've got a quick question, and I've mentioned this on my show before, but Bill Anderson is the only living active Opry member now that was a member when Patsy Cline was a member. How about that? So I would like to ask Mr. Anderson, do you have a recollection that you'd like to share about your association with Patsy Cline back in the day, so to speak?
Woo, let's see. In public?
Hey now.
This ain't public.
Jimmy Dean had the greatest description of Patsy. Of course, he worked with Patsy a lot because she was from up in Northern Virginia, and Jimmy was doing television and all around Washington, D.C., so he had worked a lot with her. And his description of Patsy was she was just one of the boys. And she really was. She just made herself, you know, one of the guys. She was a lot of fun to be around. She was lively. You think Nancy Jones has opinions about things? You should have been around Patsy Cline. She had an opinion on everything. And she was a very special lady. I got to tour with her a lot because her booking agent was also my booking agent, and we worked a lot of shows together. I mean, I remember times when we played big auditoriums to big crowds, and when we were first both kind of starting out, we played little small places to small crowds. I guess my most outstanding memory of Patsy was the time we were on tour in Canada. And we had about, 8 or 9 days together right in a row playing different little towns in Canada. And back in those days, when you played a concert date, you were pretty much every night expected to get paid for that night and go on to the next night. And we'd been out there, and you guys have probably been through this. We went out there, and we'd been out about 4 or 5 nights, and every night the promoter would come up and, well, I'm going to pay you tomorrow. I'll pay you tomorrow. And Patsy went up and she got in his face after we had played about 4 days and not gotten paid. And we were getting ready to go into Toronto, which was the biggest city we were going to play on the tour. And Patsy got up in this guy's face and she said, "Let me tell you something, Hoss." Everybody was Hoss to Patsy. "Hoss, if we don't get paid tomorrow night, there ain't going to be no show. We're going to get paid before the show or there ain't going to be no show." He said, "Oh yeah, you'll get paid." Well, come the night we get to Toronto, the crowd is overflowing the auditorium, and she goes up to the promoter and he says, "I'll pay you after the show." She said, "No, you'll pay us right now. There's not going to be a show." And he said, "Well, I can't pay you right now." Patsy was still in her traveling clothes. She had her hair up in curlers and a scarf on her head and just a pair of slacks. And she walked up on that stage and she didn't say, "Folks, I'm Patsy Cline." She didn't say nothing. She walked up there and got that microphone and the crowd got real quiet. And she said, "Folks, there ain't going to be no show tonight. We ain't been paid and we ain't going to sing." And she walked off of the stage and she said, "I'm going to the hotel. Are y'all going with me?" Well, I was too scared to stay there. I was afraid there was going to be a riot. I said, "Yeah, I'll go." And we got in the car and drove to the hotel. And I remember Cowboy Copas was on that show. And of course, he was the one that was one of the ones that was killed with Patsy in the plane crash. And he was so upset. "Oh, Patsy, you shouldn't have done that." He was trying to calm her down and everything. She said, "No, you know, right's right and wrong's wrong." And we went back to the hotel. And the next morning, we got on the plane and flew home. We never did get paid.
I need to tell you a Patsy story. Can I tell a Patsy story? Okay, it's in the book too. You'll read it. But Bill, you might even remember this. George and Patsy was working together, and George, naturally, he had too much to drink. So Patsy always had to have Kentucky Fried Chicken, but after she got off of the stage. So she went on the stage, and George said, "Man, I was starving to death. I knew I had to sober up before I could do my show." So George sat back there and ate every bit of her chicken. So she comes off and she said, "Okay, George," she said, "go on and do a short show so we can hurry up and get out of here." She said, "I'm going to go eat my chicken." And he was like, "Oh, there's no chicken." She went in there and she said, "Who ate my chicken?" George said, "I did, Patsy. I had to sober up to get on the stage." "You're not flying with us." No, you will not get on that plane. Good thing. That's when they crashed. Oh. Wow. Now, do you think the good Lord wasn't protecting George Jones then? But it was the chicken that saved his life.
Yes. Wow. Chickens don't fly.
Eat chicken and not think about it.
Does anybody else have a quick question? Go ahead.
Bill, will there be another cruise with Larry's Country Diner anytime soon?
Another cruise with Larry's Country Diner? I really don't know. I know Larry's going to do he's got to do a week with the diner cast in Branson in October. As far as another cruise, I don't know. I know they have tried to book a couple of them, and for some reason or another they fell through and they didn't get to go. So I really don't know. The show is not in production anymore, so he may be kind of winding things down. I really don't know. But I do know he's gonna do a week in October in Branson.
But we saw you last week on the Larry's Country Diner.
Thursday
I said, "Hey, we're gonna get able to see him in live."
Yeah, that was one of the old shows. Yeah.
I heard this fellow here in Wilson, North Carolina, when you were doing the gospel music. Right. And I never, in my greatest expectation, ever expected to meet you live.
Yeah, we did. When I first joined the Oaks, they were gospel singers, and they had actually, the group had started back in the 40s, and they were a country cut-up group before they changed their name to the Oak Ridge Quartet at that time. But we sang gospel music for about 9 or 10 years when I first joined the group, and then it was 1975 we got with Jim Halsey, and Jim, he was managing, he managed Roy Clark throughout his career, and Wanda Jackson and Hank Thompson. And he was one of the top managers and agents in country at that time. But Jim got the Oak Ridge Boys in with Ron Chancey and Jim Fogelsong over at ABC Records, which a couple of years after we got with ABC, MCA bought out ABC Records. So then we were with Ron Chancey produced our first album. He produced most all the albums. We had the big albums and all the gold and platinum albums, basically, that we have. And but we recorded, we were a gospel group, and we got at a place, you know, where we're out fronting people like Roy Clark, and we worked with Johnny Cash some when the Staplers had went on their own, and we opened some shows for Johnny. We'd go out and sing a few songs, and then later on come out and join him. But we were working with country people, but we didn't have a country album.
Y'all got to do the Bill show, didn't y'all go back? Y'all did the Bill Anderson show, did y'all do that?
Bill Anderson actually got the Oak Ridge Boys on, helped get the Oak Ridge Boys on the Grand Ole Opry. We sang a song that he wrote back then.
Was it Jesus Christ, What a Man?
It was, no.
The last, and this is something that I treasure tremendously, the last gospel record that the Oak Ridge Boys made as a gospel group was a song I wrote called A Great, Great Day. And y'all sang that on the Grand Ole Opry. And then I also was on the first time you guys as a country group ever went overseas. We went to the Wembley Festival in London, and I never will forget the country audience at that point had not really been very familiar with the Oak Ridge Boys, and you guys came over on that show, and they had never seen anybody jump down off the stage and go out in the audience and do all the things that the Oaks did. And the British audience, of course, is very reserved, and they're kind of looking what's going on. But these guys absolutely destroyed the crowd over there, and they've been destroying crowds ever since. And I am very proud to say that the Oaks have been very good to Bill Anderson, and I consider them extremely good friends. I went to see their Christmas show this year over at the Opryland Hotel. Jeannie Seeley and I got some cheap seats in the back and sat over there. Really enjoyed you guys. You're just as great and professional today as you've ever been, and I love you, and I appreciate all you've done for me and for country music.
Well, we've recorded your songs right up till recently, you know.
Yeah, we even did one together.
Yeah. So,
nobody ever heard it, but we did.
But that's the thing now, to give you advice, you know, the main thing is you got to keep playing and singing. When no one else likes it, you just keep playing and singing. That's it. You gotta go on through it. Know where you want to go and just keep doing it. You know, we play singing by ourselves at home. I get the kids together and we all play and sing music. So and then if we get out, if we have an opportunity to go sing with people, we sing a lot of the songs we sit around a piano with the instruments and play at home.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap this part of it up, and we're going to give people an individual chance to meet with. Do you have any final thing to say?
I want to make a comment, Ms. Jones. Believe it or not, there is another George Jones. We have one back in North Carolina. He's not a professional singer, but he comes to just where people got together and played music voluntarily at 2 tobacco bars that were put together. It was called
Brown's Old Opry.
Brown's Old Opry.
It was Mr. Brown. He was 90-some years old.
He combed his hair like George. He sounded like George. He looked like George.
Did he ride the lawnmower?
And he ain't George.
And he ain't George.
I think he rode on the back of the truck on the tailgate down, and he rode in to the tobacco bar like that.
He probably rode a lawnmower when he was younger. Now he's in the back of a truck. Well, I'd love to meet him.
We're going to give the artist a chance to we got to get on schedule. But we're going to give the artists a chance to get to the tables, and if you'll give them an opportunity to get to their tables, they'll have merchandising opportunities, and each person will have a chance to meet with you all. Okay, so give us a quick minute and let them get situated, and then we'll let you get a chance to meet them individually. How's that? Let's give them all one big round of applause.